Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So, one of the brothers was listening to a lecture and they heard some things that was kind of confusing. So they kind of asked me for a little bit of clarity. I'm going to go a little different to possibly avoid ruffling some feathers, right? And in while doing this, I'm going to also answer the other question about how did I avoid. Well, I'm just going to word it the way they asked me. How did I avoid all of the Salafi conflict? And like how did I know which side to choose? Technically, I won't say I chose a side, but when we read these Quran ayats to expound upon, and we read these Quran ayats, I'm going to use Tafsir Sahdi again, right? Because, this is going, the Quran ayat and the hadith that the brother spoke on, which caused a little bit of confusion with some of the new brothers, right? And I just want to show, so like I said, I'm going to answer it a little different because I'm not going to speak directly on particular personalities, but we going to speak on some of the ayats, right? So basically, the brother was discussing the nullifiers of Islam, alright, which the nullifiers of Islam should be taught. They should be discussed. But at the same time, if taught incorrectly, it can be dangerous. Because now, me, wallahi, I think I have 3. I know I have 3, but for sure, I have 2 ijazas on the nullifiers of Islam, right? By different sheikhs, okay? So, and I want to say, I got one in 2012, and then I got the other one in 2014, and then I did another one right before COVID, maybe 2019, 2020. So I'm extremely familiar with it, right? If taught, or I'm not going to say taught, if worded incorrectly, it can be dangerous. Because one thing about books like the Nullifiers of Islam, the first thing that one needs to do is look at themselves and their Islam. How it can be dangerous, because you might start to look at it and start trying to nullify other people's Islam. That can be the danger in it. Like, so, and then you could turn it into a game and word it different, but your treatment of the person, and I'm saying word it different because you can word it in a way where you could say, okay, I'm not doing takfir, right? I'm not declaring them a kafir, but I'm going to treat them like one. You see what I'm saying? Where it could turn into a game if you're not careful. And with takfir, and see, cause like I said, and due to them saying, I did listen to some of it, and like I say, it's hard for me. I'm not gonna say that, but I'm gonna say this: you will start to see where people will start saying stuff like, "We aren't going to do takfir," or in this particular situation, we won't do takfir. But if this situation, or if we feel this way, then we're going to do takfir. And these things is dangerous because only the ulama from specific fields can declare takfir on a person. Right? Sometimes when people, like I said, when it comes to stuff like the nullifiers of Islam, people will start to try to nullify other people's Islam. Then they'll wordplay it and say, okay, we're not declaring you a kafir, but, and I'm going to keep it on a Salafi aspect because they asked me, how did I avoid the conflict and how did I know which sides to choose? So there's real sophisticated ways of doing it by saying stuff like, well, we just kick you off the Minhaj. You see what I'm saying? You're no longer Salafi. That whole masjid isn't Salafi because this person spoke there. Okay, cool. That's your opinion. But when it comes to treating them like kafirs, we're not going to salam them. What do they do wrong? Nothing. They go to that masjid. It's 15 masjids in the city you live in, but you can't attend not one of them because they're not Salafi. You can't hang or be friends with any of those other Muslims because they not Salafi. But out of that 15 masjids, it might be 5 masjids that's Salafi, but one particular group say, we don't accept them as Salafi. So it's a sophisticated version, and I'm going to be careful with my words, because sometimes you have to be careful with your words because sometimes people listen with emotion. And they won't hear what you're saying. They hear what they think you're trying to say. So it's miscomprehended. You understand? So I don't want to say they doing takfir because people just have a definition of takfir, and I'm going to say, but they are treating other Muslims like they're not Muslims. We're not going to say you're not Muslim, because if we say you're not Muslim, we're doing takfir. But we could say you're not Salafi. We could say you kicked off the Minhaj. We could say we taking you off the Minhaj. Based off of what? Such and such go there. I seen such and such. I seen Fulan talking to Fulan at the grocery store. He's off it because he spoke to him. I'm not going to ever salam you. I'm never going to work with you in dawah. Well, why not? Because if I salam you, they're going to kick me off the Minhaj. Alright? Now, cool, alhamdulillah. We're not going to say any of that is wrong. Right? Cool. We're going to say that's from the Minhaj for the sake of this conversation. And this is why it's dangerous, because let's say this right here. People will try to teach okay, you're a new Muslim, right? Or you're a Muslim that we feel like, I got 50 people in front of me. If y'all haven't ever read the nullifiers of Islam or this and that, I feel it's important to teach y'all this. Y'all new, you may be a little older, but you're not familiar with this. But I'm going to teach you the principles of doing takfir when you don't even have the qualifications to do takfir. You don't even know how to investigate enough to do takfir. But when I teach you these principles on an extremely basic level, now you're going to run out there doing takfir. Or somebody might say, 10 people just did some crime together. 5 of them was Muslim, 5 of them wasn't. And then another person says, well, all of them wasn't Muslim. But the people who knew the 5 was Muslim turn around and say, you just did takfir on half of the city. How was that doing takfir on half of the city? Because using these terminologies and stuff, man, it shows it's a strong possibility that they aren't understood the way that they should be. Out of the 10 people that did the crime, 5 of them wasn't Muslim. It sounds like a true statement to me. But to bash them, to take other Muslims, now you're worthy of not being treated like a Muslim. Why am I worthy of not being treated like a Muslim? Because you just did takfir on half the city. Therefore, you kicked off the Minhaj. Therefore, you could never be Salafi. Therefore, you're not welcome at our masjids. Because you're off it. You see what I'm saying? So it could be a slippery slope when you're not careful. Now, let's just get into the Quran ayats, right? So, and look at the beauty of it. And this, it ain't going to say that I chose a side. I chose Quran and Sunnah. That's what I did. Let's go to Surah 49, ayat number 9. Surah, where this was an ayat, part of the ayat was quoted. And then it was part of a hadith that was quoted. And this caused some confusion amongst the brother. Because although they was a new brother, the way the question started, they said to me, I didn't know we could do takfir on people. I said, we can't. And there's very few scholars that actually touch doing takfir on people. It's to the point. Takfir is so clear, and for people like us, it's so. I mean, not takfir. A person leaving Islam so clear to us that you know that they're not Muslim anymore. I left Islam, so you can say, "Hey, the brother left Islam. The sister left Islam." Not because you may have seen him in the club. You may see him with a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they Muslim or not. They might still pray 5 times. You see what I'm saying? So, but some of the things, like I say, where people pick and choose and then do the word game. Okay, we ain't going to say you ain't Muslim, but you're not Salafi. You kicked off the Minhaj. I was riding by the gym and I seen you in the gym in some yoga pants. You wasn't even doing yoga. Right? You was all in the gym in yoga pants and you ain't even doing yoga. You kicked off the Minhaj. You no longer Salafi. That type of stuff. Right? You off the Minhaj. You're off it. You was in public in yoga pants. Ballerina leotards. but I can't. That type of stuff, man. They pick and choose. You see what I'm saying? And it could become dangerous. So let's get to the Quran ayats, right? Pardon me. So, alhamdulillah. If two groups among the believers fight one another, then make peace between them. So we're going to say this. You got Salafi, which I refer to as the real Salafis. You got the real Salafis. And I'm saying that because they determine who's real. They determine who's real. Then you have pardon the body, right? Then you have the other. Start with a lot, man. So come on my thing. I keep, man. This is some spam calls, man. Pardon the body. So look, then you have the other Salafis. Like I said, we're going to keep this Salafis. Now, some people who, when they hear this, and my bad, because I don't know what's all in the camera. I'm looking at it different because I got the tafsirs pulled up on this big TV, and then my laptop right here doing the recording. So if some of it out of the screen, pardon the body. I'm looking at it better now, right? Some people gonna say there is no other Salafis. The real Salafis gonna say there is no other Salafis. It's just us. Now, if this group, let's say, because everybody is infallible. Let's say this group make a mistake. And this group point out the mistake. Only to correct the mistake. This group, from my experience and what I've seen throughout the years, says they attack the Salafis. They're attacking the Salafis. But them pointing out the mistake was correct. And because so many people was taught this and believed this, the mistake should have been pointed out. But they'll say they're attacking the Salafis. So now, anybody who listened to them, you kicked off the Minhaj. Anybody who listened to them, you from Ahlul Bidah. Anybody who pray with them, you off it. We'll never work with you. We're not going to salam you. Now, the one who pointed out the mistake, this group, they never said, y'all not Salafis. They never said, you off it. Okay? Now, I'm pointing this out because we're keeping it with the Salafis. If two groups amongst the believers fight with one another, this doesn't always mean a physical fight. It could be argumentation. It could be jousting. It could be tearing this one group, tearing the other group down in any masjid they go to because one person from the other group was there. Now, if this happens, then you should make peace between these two groups of believers. When one group say, let's get together, let's squash these issues. the other group will say, y'all not Salafis. We'll never work with y'all in the dawah. We'll never be friends. We'll never be cool. It could be a funeral. One of these brothers can have a family member that pass away. And all of them come to the ijazah and then they won't even salam this other person at the janazah. So now you haven't declared them non-Muslim. Takfir, basically. But you're treating them like a non-Muslim. But how do you get away with it? By saying what? They not Salafi. They're not Salafi. So it's a sophisticated version of a principle of takfir. But as opposed, what do the Quran say? Make peace between them, right? So look what it says. And if one of those groups or one of those people from the group transgress against the others, i.e. reject all efforts to make peace. This is in the Quran. Now, the person who was quoting this ayat, they didn't quote the rest of this. I'm not saying this a knock towards them. It just brought about some confusion. So the person asked me, if they reject all efforts to make peace, then everybody is supposed to come together and fight against the group that's transgressing until it complies with the command of Allah. Then if it complies, make peace between them on the basis of equality and be just, for verily Allah loves those who are just. Okay? So I'm going to choose a side. I'm going to see this. I'm not going to fight against a particular group alone, but if it's certain things that's going on, and I'm not going to say, don't listen to that, don't listen to them, don't do this, woo out the woo. You haven't been around long enough, because like one thing about it, you know, these titles sometimes aren't titles that's, I'm not going to say that. So that's ayah number 9. Coming into ayah number 10, the believers are brothers. So make peace between your contending brothers and fear Allah, so that you may be shown mercy. In reality, the real Salafis reject all efforts to make peace. What's the justification for rejecting all efforts to make peace? A principle from takfir. We put you in a category where you're not worthy of the treatment of rectification and peace. You're not Salafi. You don't go to a Salafi masjid. You're Ahlul Bid'ah. You declared takfir on half the city. You're a takfiri. We'll never work with you. When they made a clear statement. You had a rapper giving dawah at your masjid. You do this and that, and there's a rapper amongst your group. But you could go to the Little Durk birthday prayer peace concert and sit up there with Little Durk and get you some camera time. They wrong for being with this particular rapper, but it's perfectly fine for you to sit up with Little Durk at a birthday, his birthday, prayer, peace between gang Muslims But it's cool. That's cool. Oh, well, it was for dawah efforts. But there isn't. That isn't dawah efforts. It's pick and choosing. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to attack anybody. But that's why I'm saying you have to be careful. So like when certain people is learning these things and people is saying, well, we're not going to do takfir. We can't do takfir. Even if we feel like we know the principles of takfir, but we can't look at a person and take all the steps necessary before we do this with a person. What's the first step that has to go on? First, you have to speak with these individuals and then try to give them an education. Now, if they reject that education, right? But these things is left for the scholars that do that, not us. And just because somebody may call me a particular something, knowing I'm not even that, I ain't even got the Arabic part of the degree. You know what I'm saying? When you go to particular universities, you got to pass the Arabic program first. I don't even have that. I don't have enough. If I go sit with some scholars, they're going to look at me and say, yeah, he done sat with us enough. We tested his knowledge and proud of him. He's a scholar also. Or they're going to say, oh, he just a da'i. Or they just da'is. They just give dawah. You know what I'm saying? They give dawah. But like I say, this isn't an attack on personalities. This is just for the brother to be careful that you don't fall into that. Because like that was the question. I didn't know we could do takfir on people. We can't. We not qualified. We don't have the skills. But continuing on, let's look at the tafsirs, right? This is an implicit prohibition on the believers transgressing against one another and fighting one another. If two groups of believers fight, then the other believers are obliged to try to contain this great evil by making peace between them and intervening in the best manner, whereby they may achieve peace. And they should take all measures that may lead to achieving that. If they make peace, all is well and good. But if one of them transgress against the others and rejects all efforts to make peace, then everybody's supposed to fight against that group. This is what Allah Azza wa Jal said. This is the explanation. Going to the other, right? Everybody is supposed to fight against that group that's transgressing until they comply with the command of Allah. And that is until it comes back to what Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has prescribed of doing good and refraining from evil. One of the greatest kind of evils of that is fighting, even if it hasn't became physical. Now, let me get into the hadith, but let me touch it just a little bit more. Then if it complies, make peace between them on the basis of equity and be just. This is a command to reconcile and be just in bringing about reconciliation, because reconciliation may take place, but it may not be just. Some people still may get treated unfairly, right? Rather, it may be unjust and unfair to one of the two disputing parties. This is not the kind of reconciliation that is enjoined. There should be no bias towards one of the two groups because of kinship or a common homeland. We from the same city. We from the same block. We from the same side of the city. We from the same country. Right? We're from the same masjid. We're from the same clique of people, or any other reason that may cause people to drift away from justice. For verily Allah loves those who are just. Now, I'm going to choose a one person like me because it's so widespread and broke down. I can try to do some reconciliation between the people in my city and my direct area. Okay? Now, then there's more steps to break down, but I'm not going to go to break down these steps because I know I'm still talking to some new Muslims. I know there's some people who's going to start listening with their emotions. And without taking the proper steps, they might take some of the words that I said wrong in these steps because we haven't went through the full thing. Then they might mistreat some people in their area by miscomprehending words that they heard me say because they listened with their emotions. And they haven't been through all of these steps that going from A to Z. Now look at the hadith. Let's look at the hadith, right? Look at the hadith. And the full hadith wasn't quoted, but let's look at the hadith. So we look at the Quran. I didn't choose a side. I chose what the Quran said. And I do know from things that I heard, from being around, I'm knowing for a fact when people tried to reconcile with these individuals, I heard some of the main people from the Dawah, I heard with my own ears. I wasn't told. I heard with my own ears individuals say, we'll never work with you guys in Dawah. Never. Then they also tore down their degrees. Just because you have degrees, it means nothing. People can be jahil with degrees. You imbeciles, you idiots, you're not Salafi, you're masjid not Salafi. I heard it with my own ears. Alright? Multiple times. And this was years ago. But not only years ago, I still hear it being said today. And I still see these particular individuals still treat these people like takfir has been put up on them. No salams. No, how are you and your family? No smile when you see them. That's sadaqah from the sunnah. Why would I smile at them? That ain't my Muslim brother. He ain't Salafi. They not Salafi. Other people come around. Hey man, you know what? I was listening to this brother, man. He was doing this and he was reading from the hadiths. He was reading from this. He was reading the explanation from the scholars. You know what they say? Is he Salafi? Well, I don't know. He ain't say. You can't listen to him. No matter how much truth he's saying, don't know if he's Salafi or not. Then they might come looking, oh, we don't know him. We don't know him. I don't know him personally. I never met him. He's not one of the brothers. To this day. Now, where is this mannerism from the Quran? If you find in the Quran where Allah is commanding an opposite mannerism from the Muslims, then the Rasul teach this opposite mannerism to the Muslims, and then the Salaf acted up on this Quran and Sunnah, which means what? That goes against the Minhaj of the Salaf, baby. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. Let's look at the Hadith. Look, watch. Look when we get into the Hadith, and I'm using Sahih Muslim, and I'm using Sahih Muslim with the explanation, so that no explanation is coming from me. Just like with the tafsirs, no explanation is coming from me. And the Arabic make these words even stronger. So look at this. Allah's messenger, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, said that Allah's messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, to revile a Muslim is transgression, and to fight him is disbelief. Not that you a disbeliever, but it's disbelief. You got some kufr in you. Why? Because when you look at all the things that comes with fighting the Muslims, Islam, due to humanity, humans gonna bump heads. Men gonna bump heads with men, women gonna bump heads with women, men and women gonna bump heads with each other, the elderly gonna bump heads with the young. People is in human nature, and then alongside with shaitan, people gonna bump heads. But Islam calls for Islam, rectification. If you believe that continuing to fight, continuing to bicker, continuing to be an opponent to some people that's better than you, in reality, right? You have some disbelief, because Islam calls for something different. Watch when we get to the explanation. Zubayr said, I said to Abu Wa'il, was it you that heard Abdullah reporting it from Allah's messenger? He said yes. Right? Now, let me get to the explanation. Because the brother was using this Quran ayat and this hadith basically saying this. If you fighting with your Muslim brother, or some of these ones that we fight against, even if this masjid was cool with us and we not cool with them no more, we kicked them off, right? It don't make you a kafir if you doing that. Okay? Because Allah says this, but the hadith says that, but it don't declare you a kafir, but it do say you have some kufr. That ain't the way that they word it, but this is the generality in the movement and the mannerism that's going on. This is how some people understand it, and when the individual coming to me, he thinking this is how he is supposed to understand that, because it's coming through a terminology. Well, we not going to do takfir on this particular individual because of these principles, but we might just say you ain't Salafi. Now we could treat you any way we want to. Your masjid ain't Salafi. We could treat you like a non-Muslim. What's the steps to kicking a person off the minhaj? You see what I'm saying? So it's a slippery slope. Look at the explanation. Linguistically, speaking to revile means to speak abusively of someone in a way that puts them to shame in society. Some of these brothers' honor has been torn down. And how has this been proven? Because certain people, I'm just going to say Shadid Muhammad. Shadid Muhammad has been put to shame and torn down in the Muslim society. Even to this day, where his position has been raised above a lot of people. The man got more knowledge. Allah blessed that brother with a higher degree, whether they want to say that he don't have more knowledge. But that's them saying it. Allah done blessed this man to have his own masjid. Right? Allah done favor him in a lot of ways. But then when this particular group started fighting other ones, the brothers came out. It's a video. It's about an hour long, maybe even longer, but they got it broken up into clips where they all came out and apologized and said they was lying on Shadeed Muhammad and told the main person, right, who came back and started and spread the lie and said that the Sheikh said this, when the brothers who was there said the Sheikh never said anything. And he spoke on why he didn't tell the truth about it. Right? Just like they were saying, oh, Shadeed Muhammad calls a nationality. They focus on nationality. But you may have your nationality. People may think your nationality is your last name. You might be from Morocco, so you might refer to yourself as Maghribi. I'm a Moroccan. You might be Somalian, so you might refer to yourself as Somali. That's nationality. You may be from Albania, so you have Albania on the end of your name. That's dealing with nationality. Not saying that it's calling to, but if a person say, our community needs to be cleaned up. The African American Muslims need to get it together. And we do. But people take a shot. Oh, he's criticizing our masjid. So they come out and say he's calling against nationality by saying the African American Muslim community need to be cleaned up. And everybody know it does. Foreigners, African Americans, that's a true statement. How is that calling a nationality? See, it's a slippery slope. But, and this is done in society. And then when the brothers who was involved in it come out, the name of the video is the way we handle Shadeed Muhammad was inappropriate or something like that. It's on the Pure Islam YouTube channel. And all these brothers, they came out and said the original person who lied, the stuff that was said behind closed doors, why it was said, the scholars never said that stuff. And we talking about they been on this man, ridiculing this brother since about 2013. Right now, 2025, this man been dealing with this man for about 12, 13 years, man. It could have started in 2012. About 13 years. The man can't even do a live without them jumping in the comments starting arguments with the brother, man. Now, but when you quote this hadith, it speaks against that very behavior. Y'all reviling and abusing Muslim brothers who ain't did nothing, and then y'all other groups, when y'all split with each other because of all the fighting, they came out and told the truth about it. But anybody else, y'all got to make a public apology. Where y'all's at? It's just more, we'll never make peace with that brother. We'll never work with that brother. He's off it. He was warned against. As if people wasn't, who say people been warned against, wasn't warned against in detail by name. Let's continue. From the Islamic point of view, transgression means to abandon obedience. The hadith means that unwarranted reviling of a Muslim is forbidden. Which means what? Haram. According to the unanimous verdict of the Muslim community. There's ijma on this. It's unanimous. Unanimous. Right? whoever does so is a transgressor, as the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam makes clear to fight with him. Now this is going further than just saying some bogus stuff and putting them to shame in society. You know, this man don't even want to live in the city where he come from because of this, and the fear of what he may have to do to somebody to protect himself and his family, or what somebody might do to him, just because of lies and different things that's been said about this brother. Then to take it even further, when y'all know y'all lying on the brother, then he gonna give a talk at another masjid. Now y'all declare that whole entire masjid, whether they call themselves Salafi or not, a masjid of bid'ah. Now you can't talk to nobody in that masjid. No sister can marry a brother from that masjid. A brother can't marry a sister from that masjid. If y'all work together, you can't talk to them. You can't salam them. You have to treat them like they're non-Muslim. Why? Because Shadi Muhammad did a talk at their masjid. They put a flyer out that they having a talk, and Shadi Muhammad's face was on the flyer. And I'm talking about stuff I heard with my own ears, not something that somebody told me. Let's continue. So then, to fight him, right? To fight him without justification doesn't take a person out of the religion of Islam, so it don't make you a kafir unless one considers this to be lawful. The stuff that they doing, they consider it to be lawful. It doesn't take you out of the fold of Islam unless you consider it to be lawful. I'm not putting nothing on nobody. I'm just showing what's from Quran and Sunnah. So I didn't choose a side. I chose Quran and Sunnah and Ijma'. Look what else it say, right? Now, unless one consider this lawful, as we have already stated more than once, therefore the hadith is explained in various ways. One, it applies to one who considers it lawful. Right? These ill manners, these ill behaviors, right? Two, it means a denial of Allah's bounty and the brotherhood of Islam. Not a denial of Islam altogether. So you're not denying Islam, but you denying the rules and the regulations for the Muslim Brotherhood that came from Allah Azza wa Jal. Them ain't my brothers. Them ain't my sisters. Why not? They not Salafi. Well, they said they was Salafi. We didn't say they was Salafi. Well, they said they masjid was Salafi. They didn't say they masjid was Salafi. We didn't say they masjid Salafi. They didn't get approval from us. Now, it don't matter if a Salafi scholar came and stayed with them for 2 weeks and did lectures at their masjid. What, that scholar off of it now? What else? 3, it eventually leads to disbelief. And 4, it is akin to what the disbelievers do. This is similar to the behavior of the kuffar. Imitating kuffar, man. Right? Continuing on, for a Muslim to fight another Muslim appears to mean normal fighting. Right? However, this says that it may mean physically hitting and pushing, but Allah knows best. So it don't always have to be a physical fighting or just pushing each other. You still fighting and trying to harm them and trying to ridicule them and tear them down in society, especially when you know that y'all lying on these brothers, man. Because every time y'all split with your own people, they want to rectify, they want to make Toba, and they come out and tell the truth every time. But what can happen? You can't listen to him. He's an idiot. He's an imbecile. He was just your brother before he told the truth about you, though. He's trying to make a public Toba. He's trying to rectify the situation and the role that he played in it. Numerous brothers. But these steps get mixed. So, me personally, I chose what I see from Quran and Hadiths. But you'll never hear me say, man, don't listen to them. You'll never hear me say, don't listen to the other side. I hate even having to talk like there's two sides. I hate having to say, I'm Salafi, but I'm not one of them. I hate having to do that. But it's a reality. And then some people gonna listen to this with their emotions and might feel so, man, the brother who is he to be attacking the brothers? All I'm saying is, when you go look at the Quran and Sunnah, and it's not just me, Sheikh Uthaymeen, you could go find a video with Sheikh Uthaymeen where they asked him about Salafiyah, and he said there's a particular group of Salafis. I think Sheikh Uthaymeen, if I'm not mistaken, Sheikh Uthaymeen passed away in like 2009, 2012. 2009, 2012. I can't remember the exact year. But Sheikh Uthaymeen, he's asked about it. Sheikh Uthaymeen say there's a group of Salafis that do this, and do this. Point this same thing out. It's still on YouTube. And like I say, I'm not speaking from a point of criticizing, but I'm just going to say, man, and this is for the brothers who came to me and asked me for a little explanation, you just have to be careful, man, because some people speak from a position of dissension. And I'm going to sit down and say this right here. Just based off of the words that they try to throw out. Degrees don't matter. Qualifications don't matter. But at the same time, say you have to listen to the scholars. Why do you have to listen to the scholars? Because their degrees, their qualification matters. And then the majority of these individuals have no qualifications, man. This just a reality. Or I'm going to put it this way. Because I don't want people to start listening with their emotions even more. They don't have more qualifications than the people they attacking. Than the ones who's calling for peace. And always have. You know what I'm saying? And all I say is this. Everybody I knew who was a part of that, once they got educated, they moved around on them. I say this for me. So I'm super cool with a few of them. With a whole lot of them. I go around them. And it'd be funny because, you know, I ain't gonna go into that. But this is the thing, man. I will say this, and I will give him credit for this. Before I started rocking with him, I didn't take scholars serious. I thought I took Islam serious, but I didn't. I always credit them for that. That conversation, the scholars, the ulema, you got to take Islam serious, man. Not this running around thinking you can still have girlfriends, even if people from amongst them who be with them, who may carry your shoes through the masjid, might be involved in all these other things. Even if they involved in it, the conversation they hear is just like me. I heard that conversation and it resonated in me. But the level of Islamic education, I wasn't getting nowhere. I had to step outside of them to get to where I am today. Whether they accept it, whether they see it. you understand what I'm saying? Even right now, for me to go sit and study this madhab from beginning to end, yes, I'm studying with a Salafi, but guess what? It's not one of them. I don't even know which one of them that I can go sit with and learn a madhab from beginning to end. I don't care who they is. I don't know one of them that I could go do it with. Alright? And especially at the time when I was around them, madhabs was a no-no. And to keep it 100, publicly, a lot on YouTube, you don't really hear them say it, but behind closed doors where it ain't recorded, technically madhab's still a no-no. How is this? You know, like wallahi. This is one of the most funniest statements I ever heard, because we were all used to be in this big group, and you know, one of the brothers was talking about he was tired of the fighting. You know, I'm gonna keep it 100. In the group, they was attacking Jamil Finch. Now, Jamil Finch, he was, when it came to certain aspects of fiqh and academic level, Jamil Finch was my favorite one. But as far as talking and being able to move the crowd, whether he was right or wrong, Hassan Somali was the best speaker. Alright? He was my favorite one to listen to. But Jamil Finch, I never denied that boy. And you know, it's always a little something with him, because he come from he Shadid Muhammad ex-best friend. He come from the Shadid Mufti Tahir camp. That's why, like, even right now, he got Masjid bin Baz. His name don't be in a lot of the riffraff like that. They was attacking him, man, calling him Hassan Somali Muadhin. Talking about they'll never go to bin Baz. I'll never go listen to a khutbah by that dude. How he is a Muadhin one day, and now he's the imam of the masjid the next day. But they wouldn't say what, but wallahi. So one of the brothers was like, this is when IMFC didn't have their own building, but they was getting it. They was trying to come up with the money to purchase the land. So I said the land, to get the building. They already had found the building, so they was talking about a fundraiser. So people was like, I'm getting tired of this. You know, when they get up and going, I'm going to go over there. They Salafi. Right? Now these is, in this group, there's people from Germantown, Ahlul Hadith, Mukbil, bin Baz, and they was trying to get Masjid Tawheed at the time. So the brother said, them brothers ain't Salafi, they Hanbali. Them brothers ain't Salafi, they Hanbali. And I was just sitting there like, because they think, but even when you go start looking up some of the scholars that you look at, go look up like a Sheikh bin Baz, a Sheikh Uthaymeen, a Sheikh Fawzan, some of these scholars and Sheikh that they mention, a Sheikh Rabi and some of them. And then when you go look them up and look at their biographies, a lot of them be Hanbali and fiqh, but they'll say they Salafi, but they don't know that they Hanbali and fiqh. And I'm mentioning that because they think madhabs is an issue. I don't think madhabs is an issue. What I have an issue is people who choose one particular madhab, they won't throw away the mistakes that's in them for Quran and Sunnah. Everything got to be based off Quran and Hadiths at the end of the day. So if it's something in the madhab, it's based off Quran and Sunnah if they had the evidence, or they did their best with what they had from Quran and Sunnah. That's the issue I have with it. Now, there's some things about certain man I don't think some people ready to hear. I won't say it online. I'll say it with the brothers or whatever, but look, I almost slipped out. But anyway, man, but that was just that just blew my mind. But when he said it, it was so many people like, yeah, like, you imbecile. You didn't know they was handballing? They not Salafis? And I sit down and like, but y'all superior to everybody else. Nobody can listen to anybody but y'all. Where's this from the Quran and Sunnah? Let me see, because a lot of y'all haven't been overseas. A lot of y'all haven't studied. A lot of y'all haven't really sat with people who still overseas that's in the universities. So I want to give y'all a breakdown where you need to understand something. Egypt, Sudan, the Arabias, even your Yemens, your Syrias, your Jordans, your Turkey, your Kuwaits, whatever. Let's say you go to the Arabias and you throw in like Riyadh, all the surrounding areas, your Mecca and your Medinas. You might have 1,000 scholars over there that's Salafi. We just throwing a number. 1,000 Salafi scholars. But these two scholars just might happen to be your favorite. Or, like they say, the masjid that's closest to where you are when you go to the building, these scholars be in there. They outside, as we say. These scholars, they be outside. You go to the masjid, they there. You go to get you some chicken from the local spot. You see this scholar in there. Some of them scholars you don't have access to. Now, if they teachers, you might be able to catch them in their office or something. But some of them, you don't have access to them like that. These scholars be outside. You can walk up to them, hey, Sheikh, ask them a question right on the spot and all that. So they might have access to these particular scholars, right? But just because they didn't listen to these other ones or didn't know these other ones, don't mean they had an issue with them. They didn't listen to every single scholar in all the Arabias. When you go to Egypt, people don't listen to every single scholar that's over there. So how can people push an agenda that you can only listen to these people? Oh, who? Just imagine me doing that. A couple of brothers in the group. Where you go to Jumar? Where you go to Jumar yesterday? What? You went to Jumar there? You kicked off the Minhaj, baby. You no longer Salafi. You listen to who? What you listen to that imbecile for? Guess what? You ain't Salafi no more. People will look at me and say, who you think you is? Who they think they is? Everybody not going to listen to every single, overseas, you don't listen to every single scholar that's over there. Now, because of an asset, you may choose this one, but then some people say, man, what you choose to listen to him for? Sheikh Fulan and Fulan them, we only listen to this one. Well, why you only listen to this? We don't really, the one you listen to is not known. Why they not known? Because you don't know them. The scholars know them. The ulama know them. We know them. Look at our list. Do you see his name on there? Who made that list? When was that list made? It's nonsense, man. It's nonsense. And it doesn't bring about unity. But what they say, it brings about unity amongst the brothers. Well, why y'all keep fighting and splitting up then? Why y'all steady kicking each other off the Minhaj, and now this masjid, he was your best friend masjid Monday. Y'all get into it on Tuesday. Now Wednesday, that masjid is Ahlul Bidah. Anybody who keep going to it, kicked off the Minhaj. What you do today, sister? I went and had to do some things and get some things going on with my car. Did you have a grown man with you? Well, no, but of course, you kicked off the Minhaj. You ain't Salafi. Like, come on, man. When you say it, it's actually comical. But anyway, man, I said enough, man. I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers, but I do it for the brothers, man. And I'm not going to say, don't listen to these people and this and that. I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to say, even if people saying we not going to do takfir, this and this, we can't do takfir. We can't do takfir. And that's some of the problem with some of the people who haven't went through the steps. They're going to be doing a sophisticated version of tafsir. And then you know what they're going to run around and say? Such and such spoke, the Sheikh talked about it at the conference. The Sheikh talked to us about it for 3 days. We can fight you though. And we can fight you. We can tear you down. The Sheikh said it, according to the hadith, it's not kufr. We can kick you off the Minhaj. We can shame you and destroy your name in society. I heard the Sheikh what he said when he reported the hadith. We can do it all we want to. Alright, alhamdulillah. Salam alaikum. Brother, I don't salam you. You ain't one of the brothers. I ain't one of the brothers. I ain't part of the brotherhood. Nope. You ain't Salafi. How come I ain't? Because we kicked you off the Minhaj. How you do that? How you do it? We just take you off of it. Alright, well you have fun with that. Man, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So that's what I'm saying. I ain't choose no side. You understand? I chose Quran and Sunnah and Ijma'. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.